Redditors who have been clinically dead, what did you experience in death, if anything? I coded after surgery. I remember being able to see and hear everything and understand what was happening, but I couldn't physically feel anything. It was deeply unsettling. My wife and I discussed this at length. 4 years ago, she died twice in 3 months, needing full resuscitation both times. Both were lengthy rescues. One resuscitation was off and on for nearly 40 minutes. I asked her later when she had recovered if she remembered anything at all during the times she was clinically dead. She remembered nothing. Blackness. No light. No relatives and former pets waiting for her. Just black. Thankfully, also no pain. She finally passed 18 months ago, and I hope she felt no pain or worry the final time. Edit to add, it started with 2 spontaneous brain bleeds. Technically, it started with her having lupus. The first brain bleed led to her passing, but they did a craniotomy, revived her, then a re-bleed. The trauma from all that caused her lupus to set fire, which led to complete kidney failure and another cardiac arrest, passing and recovery, which led to 2 strokes. She recovered enough to be home and mostly independent, but having to go to dialysis 3 times a week for 3 years. She passed the final test to get on the kidney transplant list on Wednesday, and had a massive cardiac respiratory event at dialysis on Friday where she passed again, but was kept alive on life support. I waited a week hoping for recovery, but we disconnected life support per her wishes, a topic we had talked about many times. I don't know what I experienced while I was dead, but when I woke back up, so to speak, I remember wanting to experience it permanently. A friend of mine described death, she was technically dead twice, as being surrounded by darkness and floating with some sort of warm gel-like substance covering her. She never wanted to leave that state. I died twice after I got MRSA into my heart area after a major surgery. I don't remember much of anything when I was out, cliché as it was. I saw a light, but damn, that year sucked. Clinically dead on 2 separate occasions. I didn't experience any visions or light and I didn't feel anything at all. It was like a switch was flipped and my existence was just shut off. Coming back was another story. Slowly I was able to hear the voices of those around me fading in, and they slowly got louder until I was able to open my eyes. That's it. Nothing spectacular. 1 second you're here, 1 second you're not. Not mine, but the head of my program was in a horrible car accident. She was dead for a few minutes on the scene while paramedics worked on her. She said it was the most amazing feeling she's ever experienced. It was black nothing, but that was perfectly fine, and she felt a comfort she can't even explain. She remembers being angry at the man working on her when she finally came back to her body because she wanted to stay there. She told us she can't wait to experience it again when it's really her turn. Edit. I'm really pleased this resonated so strongly with so many of you. I wanted to add some detail about her. She's not religious in the slightest, and she actively quashes our ghost stories and shit, mortuary students, because she only believes in tangible things. So she fully turned me into a believer. Felt it's important I make a distinction. She was very adamant about when telling us this story she's not advocating suicide. She stressed that she isn't telling us she's trying to reach this place again, but that when it was her time she was going to be comfortable embracing it. Friend of mine described it as deeply relaxing and that she could feel herself drifting away, but was brought back just as she was ready to leave. After that, she embraced life and death. She said she doesn't fear death anymore since it was so relaxing to experience. Awesome, everyone seems to be in agreement that death was awesome and euphoric. That is comforting to hear, thanks everyone. As someone who lost his younger brother 4 months ago to psychosis-induced suicide after years of painful and miserable addiction and anxiety and depression, many of these comments give me more of a sense of peace that he just couldn't be here anymore and needed to go. I'll hope he felt okay in his final moments and wasn't in the constant pain he felt. 247 here and in his mind. Serious tag or not, I'm glad the majority of the comments seem genuine. Thank you. I was dead for a very short period of time, like 30 seconds to a minute. There's a big misconception about it. It's not like sleeping at all. I'll try to explain. There's always a sort of white noise in the back of my mind. It quiets down when I sleep, but it's still there. I never noticed it before I died, but I do now. I don't want to romanticize death, but when I was out, it was like this perfect nothingness. And nothingness is so hard to imagine normally, but once you experience it, and they bring you back, part of you wishes you could have stayed. There's no positive feelings there, obviously, but it takes away everything bad too. All your stress, the nightmares, the troubles. All gone. Just nothing exists. It's beautiful in a way. I'm not suicidal at all, and hope to live the rest of a long and happy life. But I'm very much looking forward to a lack of consciousness when I do eventually pass again, and I can honestly say I don't fear death anymore. I know 3 people that have been clinically dead and have come back. What they described as something much different than what people are talking about here. They all said, if you paraphrase, that it feels as if you're passing out. Someone compared it to oating on whippets, nitrous oxide, a feeling of your conscience slowly getting focused into one point in the exact middle of your head, while your limbs lose feeling in a tingling, pleasant way, and then you lose consciousness. One girl said that when she came back into conscience she was hallucinating because she had no idea what was going on, and that she started dreaming of something safe, i.e. her mother hugging her in a warm bed. My father committed suicide recently this year, and these responses are helping me find some comfort that his last moments were peaceful. Edit. I just wanted to say thank you to all of those that reached out. I'm going to counseling soon to help get through the hard times. I'm sorry for those that have experienced loss, and I'm glad we got to share this feeling of peace reading these, even if it's just for a moment. Former coworker of mine died during heart surgery. I think she was out for 90 seconds or close to it. She wasn't religious or anything. She said that she remembered being in the room and seeing her dead uncle and cousin standing at the far end of the room watching everything going on. Edit. Oh, now my inbox is having an fun fact. She shared this information during an icebreaker. Give us a fun fact about yourself. She didn't remember seeing a light or anything, just seeing her dead relatives at the end of the room. Overdosed. Flatlined. Didn't see a damn thing. When they hit me with Narcan, I woke up really mad, ripping Yves out of my arms, cursing out the poor, amazing staff who saved my life. Good times. 6 years ago now, with all that shit behind me, luckily. Edit. Narcan. I saw my grandpa. We talked for a while and he said I could go back with him, or stay. I looked down and saw myself in that hospital bed with my brother holding my hand. He felt it turn cold, and I never saw him cry that way before. Went back into my body and felt more pain than I knew in my life. Been a year of recovery and I lost most of my memory, but I'm happy. Skull fracture at traumatic brain injury from heat exhaustion. Edit. Here's a link: https://imgur.coma72q9fwf with a pic of my brother's reaction when I woke up and when my mom played music for me trying to get me to wake up. This happened well before my GF and I got together, but she intentionally overdosed on methadone and was clinically dead briefly at the hospital. She said she could see the doctors and her husband in the room from above, and then she found herself in a meadow with her first boyfriend just talking like nothing had happened. Then she felt herself getting pulled out of there abruptly and suddenly sprang up with her eyes wide open and she was back to life. Not really sure what happened, and it still freaks me out to this day. My daughter was 4 and developed pneumonia. Her breathing would stop in her sleep, so we took her into the emergency room. She was there for a total of 5 days. For the first 3 days her health kept deteriorating. And on the 3rd day my girlfriend got a call that her mother had collapsed and was taken to the hospital. She was without oxygen for 20 minutes and was declared brain dead. That night my daughter woke up and asked about Grandma. No one had said anything to her or in the room with her. We asked her what did she mean. She told us that Grandma came to her in a dream and said, "It's not your time yet. I'll go for you." Immediately the next day she was almost 100% better. I was dead for 6 minutes. I was laying on the gurney and I was getting colder. Somewhere my body started warming up and everything became really calm and peaceful. I was no longer in pain. All the noise from her just went away. It was really enjoyable. I was thinking about my daughter and I was remembering all the things we had done. Slowly it was just black and nothing. There was no knowledge of anything. I explain it as it was like before I was born. Then the worst thing in the world is being revived. I started hearing loud noises. I felt this massive pain. Then there was the nastiest stench ever. The smell was like every dead animal had crawled in my nose. The smell was so bad I started vomiting. I remember the doctors turning me on my side and watching my vomit spray on a nurse. Dying was the most pleasant thing I have ever experienced and being revived the worst.